call, or Memphis isn't going to be able to call and say, yeah, we want Jimmy Butler, we'll give you, these 3 things in this draft pick. That's not going to do it. And so you can be a little bit dismissive on that. But I think that there also has to be an ability to engage other teams and drive a market and create one. Like, if everyone's just getting hung up on, then you're not going to be able to get, a bunch of bids together and sort of drive that up a little bit more. And I think that's where some of the complaints are right now. Now, they absolutely should drive a hard bargain. They have a top 12 player in the league, who, and this is before you have a full season left with him before you have to worry about what you're ever going to do next summer. And so they should say, yeah, we're not going to take just anything for that. But they also have to be realistic, and there are people who believe that Tibbs does not want to trade Jimmy at all. And if that's the case, that can't happen. Like, he has to trade him, and so that's the unanswered question right now, is just how is he digging in and trying to get that big deal, or is he just trying to get to a point where he goes to Glenn and says, hey, we don't have a good deal, we got to keep him. That's not the option. That's not the world that you live in right now. You have to get a deal done.
Another one from Jeff is, if Cat is the Wolves' future and essentially told Glenn it's either me or Butler, would Tibbs really bring Butler into camp if he can't work out a deal and risk alienating Cat? And if yes, how can Tibbs still be employed by the Timberwolves?
Well, I have no indication that Cat has said it's me or Butler. So let's put that out there first of all. Second, but the larger point is, kind of getting back to what we were talking about with the Cheryl Reeve component, is that I think that there is a big part of Tibbs that says, come on, Jimmy, like, okay, you don't like him. Okay, he didn't grow up the same way as you, and so you don't want to work with him. Like, come on, man. Like, let's figure this out. He may not be your type of guy that you want to go to movies with and grab a glass of wine with after the game, but he's still incredibly talented. Like, he works hard. He's still figuring out kind of all of the leadership things. He's still figuring out how to navigate the locker room and all those things, but work with him, man. Like, where else are you going to go, like, that you're going to have this type of talent with you? So I understand Tibbs is, not, wanting that to happen. The reality of the situation is this is where we are now. And Butler's dug in. Like, he's not changing his mind. He's not going to wake up tomorrow and say, visited by the ghost of basketball past and the ghost of basketball future.
Or David Kahn.
And he's going to go hug Tiny Tim and say, I love you, Cat. Like, that's not happening. And so that's the part where Tibbs has to understand this dynamic can be incredibly toxic and can absolutely submarine a season. Like, just because even if you brought Jimmy Butler back in here, it doesn't mean that things would go very well this season. Maybe you might have more talent, you might have a chance, but like, if the personality conflicts are to that level, either with Butler or with Towns or with Wiggins or with anybody else in that locker room and anybody else around the organization and around the freaking city, the day that Jimmy Butler is introduced in the starting lineup here with the Timberwolves, I mean, he get booed worse than Kevin Love ever got booed.
Absolutely.
Without question. And there's, there is this part of Tibbs that doesn't want to think about that. Like, oh, that's all the BS on the side. Let's just handle what's on the court. But this needs to be factored in this situation. And so that's the kind of issue that you run into right now. The overall underestimation of just where things are here and not being willing to see that.
3 more Twitter questions. Cody B, presuming Taylor and Tibbs are actually on speaking terms, how are teams getting 2 different answers from each of them? Taylor's the boss. Why doesn't he force Tibbs to just toe the line? And at what point does he just fire him? I know money is a consideration.
Well, I mean, I think, like, in fairness to both Glenn and Tibbs, like, they don't want to get raked over the coals here. They don't want to get taken to the cleaners. And so there are teams that are calling Glenn, trying to get better communication and a crystallized vision of what do you want for this player. And so they have those conversations, and then the teams will say, okay, well, this is what we're willing to do. And so Glenn will say to these guys, according to several of these teams I've talked with, like they'll say, okay, let me talk to Tibbs and Scott, and we'll get back to you on that. And then the sort of the return of that loop, or the closing of that loop, doesn't come very quickly or very realistically. And so I think Glenn is trying to be a little more pragmatic about it, but Tibbs is really digging in and asking for the moon and the stars, thinking that somebody eventually will cave. And Glenn doesn't want to just take whatever is offered. Like, he's a businessman. He's made $2 billion. Like, he knows how to navigate some of these things. And he also knows that Tibbs and Layden are better basketball minds, better equipped to make some of these evaluations of players and contracts and things than he is. So they're trying to work together, but right now the stalemate, and the reason that we've kind of reached this point, is that, yes, like Glenn seems to be a little more open-minded, and Tibbs and Scott are very closed and very very dug in, and so teams are just like, all right, kind of call us when you're serious. That's where we're at.
From longtime listener Luke Reachins, do you expect the Wolves to shoot more threes this season? And how's your buddy Scott Layden doing? Ha ha.
So second question first. That's clearly from our little exchange on media day when he kind of mentioned that I asked him about some teams being frustrated with how they're doing business, and he said, which teams? I said, I can't tell you. I said, they're speaking privately on background, and he was, oh, bravo, sources, okay, and kind of shot that down a little bit. He has a very dry sense of humor, so I never thought that he was mad.
I didn't think it was a bad exchange.
Yeah, and I think other people who just don't know his personality, thought that it was like more of a uncomfortable. Like, I think Tibbs was laughing during the whole thing, so I don't think it was a bad exchange. But kind of the dig at the end was, oh yeah, well, when I said, Scott, that's why I don't reveal my sources, because then every time you're my source, I don't tell anyone. And Scott said, okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't talk that often. And no kidding, Scott. Like, it's not for lack of effort, on my part. So, but hey, that's the way that he does business. And I actually admire that part of it a little bit, because in this era of behind closed doors, of backroom dealings, of sort of anonymous sources and things like that, these two, Tibbs and Layden, don't really do that.
Nope.
And so they have to pay the price for that when a lot of maybe the coverage is a little more one-sided, because they're not willing to explain themselves, either on the record or off the record. But they do, they have stuck to their principles that way. They've done it their way. I don't think it's helped them. I think it's absolutely going to hurt them. And one of the reasons, if they do get cleaned out, it's going to be this communication side, not with the media, but with internally. That's going to be one of the reasons that they're no longer here. Hey, that's what they've chosen to do, and so I don't begrudge it. That's just that's the way it goes, and we press on. But the first part of that question was, are
they going to shoot more threes?
Yeah, I think they are. And Tibbs has talked about this a lot, even last year when they were dead last, is trying to get them to shoot more threes, but also understanding that it's a kind of a weakness of this team. So you don't want to just
you don't want to do it just to do it.
Just to do it, right? So, but you bring in Tolliver, and he said he was one of the great media day quotes, just like, "Oh, when I go out there will be threes. Like, I don't care what system I'm running, nothing. That's what I do. You brought me here. I'm going to shoot threes." So I think, guys like Tolliver and Nunnally will shoot threes. They're trying to get a 3-point shooter in this Butler deal. So ideally, that would be somebody who could come in and knock
Steph
down
Curry?
some threes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they got 4 All-Stars. They can give one. And so they'll do that. I think James Nunnally, if he gets time, will shoot a ton of threes. I think you will see Okogie and Keita Bates-Diop shoot threes. And hopefully Wiggins gets to shoot some and takes a step forward in that direction. as well. And Towns is going to shoot threes. So they are going to shoot more threes than they did last year. Are they going to get into the top 20? I don't know. But there's definitely a concerted effort to add a little bit more of that to their arsenal. And they have a few more people that are equipped to do that. So it would stand to reason that, yes, we'll see more of them. But they're not going to be Golden State. They're not going to be Boston. They're not going to be a lot of these teams that just jack and jack.
One more question from our friend MJ, longtime listener and a fan of many of the shows across the talknorth.com podcast network. Once again, thank you to TSR Injury Law, 612-TSR-TIME, sodastick.com. Use the You Betcha promo code to get free shipping from them. And, of course, Bite Squad, Talk North is the promo code for free delivery. And we'd appreciate you supporting our sponsors. They have allowed us to survive and thrive as a network. From MJ, favorite road cities and why? Whether it's the opponent, other scribes, good food options, or someplace warm during the winter.
Sure. Well, New York is my favorite city in the world. If money was no object, that's where I would live. Like I love the energy. I love the culture. I love the subway. You're 10 minutes away from the best food in the world. You're 10 minutes away from the best art in the world. You're 10 minutes away from the best entertainment in the world. Like, it's the best. So I love Madison Square Garden, even though it's not a glitzy new arena. I love it to death. So New York, the Bay Area is great. Oracle Arena is awesome. I actually really feel bad that this is the last year there for the Warriors, that they're going to move into the wine and cheese, in San Francisco. And I think that's going to change the vibe there, but it's a really fun place to go. I lived in Indiana. I love Indianapolis. It's a little smaller Minneapolis. Really easy to get around. The town is fun to hang out in. You can walk around it. The arena is great. So I'd put that up there. San Antonio, where we'll be for the season opener, is always a fun time as well. I have some good friends that write down there. I
like San Antonio.
Yeah, those are some great towns to go out in and to have fun in and enjoy. So I'm sure there's others that I'm missing, but those are some at the top of the list.
Good stuff, as always, from John. Of course, the inside story of this podcast is we're putting out, hoping that the Butler trade won't happen 5 minutes after we do it. But
you may never even hear this one again, just like last time. But we'll see.
But we will also do a podcast following whatever deal is made or whenever there's a big development. So come back to talknorth.com, subscribe to iTunes, subscribe to your favorite podcast app, or just follow us on social media and click on the link. We do appreciate all the listeners, and we'll talk to you soon.
You just want to provide the best service you can, and marketing is vital to build your business, but it's also overwhelming and confusing. Successful Marketing Group is passionately committed to businesses, helping them get found, get customers, and build dreams. Successful Marketing Group understands your problems and truly wants to help you be successful, providing digital marketing packages with proven results. Go to successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve for a free 45-minute audit and action plan. That's successfulmarketinggroup.com/Cheryl Reeve.